Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everybody in between, gamers of all ages, I am Tigwyk. This is, Testy McTesterson. This is Testy McTesterson, eventually. This is Testy McTesterson, and we are playing the Repopulation. This is episode 3, 4, somewhere in there. I showed you combat in the last video, and let's show you crafting? Yeah, let's do some crafting. So we have a loading screen as per usual, and again, a tip at the bottom. You gain momentum as things go well for you, and you lose when they go poorly, or over time. Okay, so I guess I'm losing momentum when I get hit, or if combat takes forever, and I gain it when I land hits. I guess that kind of makes sense based on what I've experienced so far. Momentum being that combat, what do you even call it? It's a stat, I guess, that only builds up during combat. So we're back in Plymouth City. We have trainers that we don't need to talk to, and I would like to do some crafting. Let's see, how quickly... Craft one Type A firearms fitting, and then return to the workshop supervisor. Well, that's difficult, but I believe he gave me, he or she gave me everything to do that, so let's just quickly go do that so I can show you crafting. So we'll head over to the workshop. That's the workshop over there. You can see, wow, night and day. Again, the alpha means that night and day changes are very sudden, and there is no real... I mean, there's sort of like a dusk. I think it was kind of like dusky before, but then as soon as it goes from dusk to like nighttime, or I guess... is that nighttime? Whenever the daytime changes, it's just really disorienting right now, because they just changed the texture like immediately. It just goes like from one to the other, flip-flop, and suddenly you're staring at a completely different sky. It's really weird. Let's talk to supervisor and say, oh right, okay, so no we weren't. I probably should interact with the crafting station here and see if I can make a weapon. So, do I have a card? I do, okay. The good news is that she gave me a recipe that I can learn for firearms fittings, and if I double click on that, I suddenly unlock this very simple Type A firearms fitting recipe. Notice that I don't actually have any other firearms crafting recipes here, and that's because I haven't actually read the book on it. I've just been given this one particular recipe for this mission, and the mission is going to be to craft one of these. So if we double click on that, we bring open the actual crafting window down here that has all the ingredients necessary to craft a fitting. On my other character I've done this, and I've crafted several fittings of various types, so it actually has the automatic sort of, this is what you've done most recently in the history there. Then I can double click on that to make it autofill those ingredients if I have those ingredients on me. If any of them differ, it won't match up. Actually, that's not true. If any of them differ, it just will simply leave them out. Okay, so that's convenient. We just proved that that's pretty darn convenient there. I have most of those because most of them are always going to be the same to make the, in this case, the fitting. You're always going to need a motherboard, you're always going to need a power core, you need a mold that matches the type of fitting, so type A, B, C, blah, 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 depending on the socket that you're putting it in. And this will come when you start making fittings if you do that, or if not, whatever. And then the type of refined metal that you use, and the metal would be whatever you mine. And so in this case we have calibrate, that I can make a firearms fitting with the penetration. This calibrate bar has physical penetration. If I open the tooltip, this here, physical penetration, is a bonus to physical. So my gun will do more against physical, or for physical damage, I guess, and people will take +3 or plus whatever the bonus is, that much more physical damage from my firearm if I put that on it. The easiest way to simply do that, I think, is just to drag that in there. Okay, so that's all it really wanted me to do, was to prove that that bar that I made previously in the tutorial that you didn't see serves a purpose here, and that purpose is to make a fitting. And so this fitting, the end result, will take the bonus from this metal, and these, mostly just the grade of these, and I guess you probably have to use like dual core motherboards and stuff later on to make the better ones, but I can only make simple stuff, and like there's simple, normal, complex, arduous. I can only make simple, so this is going to have like one stat, and it's going to be crappy. but that's because we're given all the ingredients to make it really easily, and so basically it's a free fitting for us that only has it's a free fitting, but it's a crappy free fitting because all the ingredients are F0 because they gave it to us. If we had gotten any of these up ourselves, then the fitting might actually be a decent grade. As it is, it will probably degrade after we've been using it a little bit, and it will break. But we can make it just by hitting all. So the crafting thing is kind of complex. You guys see this progress bar and steps and blah blah blah. All you really have to do is hit all. It will do the work for you of popping one of these up if these happen, which is like an event that says, hey, put this in here or put this in here, and if you have distilled water, you can put it in there to do, I guess in this case, a minus 2% to one step to the grade. And this is minus 7% to the grade, and this would be 2% to the grade and minus 10% to the grade. I don't really know how it chooses. Oh, I guess if I succeed, it's this one, and if I fail, it's this one, and if I succeed, it's this one, if I fail, it's this one. Okay, so basically if I put distilled water in here and I succeed, I think, it would be this action. And if I don't do anything, if I simply choose the default and don't do any of those things, I automatically will have minus 5% to the output, the grade of the output. This looks really complex. Usually you can just pick the one that has the better output if you have something to put in there and you're willing to use that ingredient for the purpose of getting you a bit of a bonus on the outcome of the item. Otherwise, just do the default, accept the penalty, and just get on with life, right? Finish. Okay, so because they gave us the stuff to make it, they only gave us so many parts, and so we were only able to make like the crappiest of crappy fittings here, just to make the fact, to prove the fact that you can make it. So, yeah, so this is not even a fitting that you'd want to put on anything. It's plus 0.15 physical penetration. It's an F0, and it will break at this grade. So it won't even degrade any further to break. It will break at this grade at some point as soon as you use it, pretty much. So it's just to show you how to do crafting and how all that stuff adds together. What you saw there was crafting a firearms fitting, which is like the top of the line when it comes to crafting. That's one of the things that has the most ingredients. Each of these items, if I really want to scare you away, each of these takes a whole bunch more. So if we dive into even just the metal, so the metal is like you go into mining and you have to refine the metal, and you have to pick like these examples show you here. You have to pick a metal, and it has a certain property on it, just like we saw the calibrate bar that I already had conveniently. And then you have to pick the refining agent that goes with that brings out that property. So I can't just make a calibrate ore bar by taking some calibrate, which I don't even have on me, putting it in here, and then putting water in here. Because water is the easiest, that or firewood are the easiest things to come by in the game so far. But I can't make a bar that has the properties of the calibrate has on it, which are on some spreadsheet somewhere that say like physical penetration or physical resistance, increased critical resistance, all these different stat bonuses and stat modifications that you can get on a fitting, and or the properties you can bring out of the metals. You have to match the refining agent that does that, and there's like spreadsheets and spreadsheets that match up. Okay, so you use this refining agent to bring out this property in this metal because it's the primary property, and that means you get the biggest bonus to it in that metal. And then if you use this refining agent, so you use 3 different ones. You use this one to bring out this, and this one to bring out this, and you end up with like a bar that has like 6 to one thing and 3 to another and 3 to another, something like that. And it's some combination of numbers that match based on the primary property of the metal, and they all have a bunch. And again, it's all on crazy spreadsheets, which is kind of awesome if you know what you're looking for, because it's very customizable. You combine that with a refining agent, which is not the easiest thing to get, right? You either got to harvest that, or talk to people, or know people, buy it on the auction house. You're going to be doing that a lot. You're going to only be able to harvest and gather and whatever so much. If you're grinding, crafting, you will need to work with other people to get you ingredients and agents and stuff that are higher grade that you would not be able to get yourself. So, we've made a fitting. I don't really have a lot of other stuff I can make things with right now because, well, I guess I can make purified water to prove that that works too. In the tutorial, they make us do purified water, which is like the most specific recipe ever, because no recipe in the entire game ever calls for simply very specifically contaminated water, and very specifically water purification tablet. There's no recipe out there that is that specific later on. I mean, maybe there's like one or two, but they're so rare. Everything else is usually some specific type of class of ingredient and some specific type of class of agent, and you kind of have to figure out the different recipes to yourself. Like, I've done this so many times that the history for this one brings up the same stuff I need to make it. I hit all, it goes through the motions, I choose, let's see, let's see if I can succeed on, oh, except I don't actually have chemical salt, so I can use, oh, I don't have distilled water either. Okay, so I have to accept the default on this one, of the bonus increase, but luckily it's actually a 3% grade increase for free. So I will accept that, finish this. You hit all until this bar fills, and then as soon as the bar fills, it takes a second, and then it empties, and it gives you your product. It's a bit weird, but it's just a delay, I guess, of the system in the back end actually making sure that what you just gave it was legit and what you're getting out of it is the right thing. So that's how you make purified water. And every recipe is pretty much the same thing, except with different ingredients and working your way with different things. I just want to finish this in front of us here. So I told her, yes, I was able to make the firearms fitting, and she's going to give me the same stuff back and tell me this time I'm going to use a different property for it. Okay, and I'm saying yes, I will run to the crafting station right next to her conveniently and make another one. So we're going to make another firearms fitting here. We'll use the other calibrate bar. And I don't want to give away the ending, so let's show you just for comparison. I'll do this, and this is the firearms fitting we just made. This is the one we're about to make. So the one we just made has plus 0.15 physical penetration. We're about to make one that uses a calibrate bar that has physical resistance as a property on it. And, well, I'll show you what happens when we do that on a firearm fitting. We go all, finish it, and here is the, oh, and we'll just get rid of the inventory there so I can compare these. Okay, here's the new one. Notice something important. There is nothing on the new one. So this is what happens when you put a bonus that does not match the fitting type. So basically, if you use a metal that has a property that is a firearm or melee property, such as something like, I don't know, increased critical, something that does damage or increases your penetration, something like that, and you try to put that on an armor, it's going to fail, because your armor can't do damage. And so anything where they don't match up properly, and there's, again, spreadsheets, and I think this is going to be documented on the wiki better and all those things, but for now you just kind of have to look at the spreadsheets and compare if you're going to make firearms, or fittings, sorry, that there are things that can specifically only go on certain types of fittings, and in this case we used the wrong type of calibrate bar, and they made us do that to prove the point that you can't do that. You can't just make a weird broken fitting that gives a bonus to something that you can't actually gain the bonus for. They just make it blank. And so that's trash now, unfortunately, and she's going to tell us such. So she said, and I say, here are the two of them. I crafted one with physical resistance calibrate and the other with physical penetration calibrate. Correct. Aha, yes. And I noticed that one fitting is empty, right? Yeah. Well, how can that be? Well, we talked about it. And I asked, did I just make a perfectly useless fitting? And she says, well, let's say I've just made you aware of a potentially very costly mistake. And this is true. If I didn't tell you now, and if she didn't tell us now, and she didn't go through this, it would suck later to put like some really, really high-level ingredients together to make like an amazing fitting, and realize that it comes out blank. I've done that simply because cybernetics are weird fittings, and they fall under, I think, armor, but I thought I had an armor property on a metal that I was using, and unfortunately when I made the whole fitting in the end, the fitting came out empty. I hadn't used like super high grade parts, but I had used parts that I invested in, and it came out empty, and I was just like, oh man. So I'm still a noob when it comes to my other character and crafting, but it's a learning experience, and you have to kind of do it. And it's a learning frontier because this is still the alpha, and they're changing things, and they will be later on too.